Look at my chart. I wish I could just show up and be like, do you want to test me right now? Look at this chart right here. Look at my birth chart. Are you sure you want your day to go like this by testing me right now? You know? He didn't know. He didn't know. Welcome to Yap Therapy. If you're in need of some yap and therapy, you found the right spot. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're watching this probably the day after the full moon. How you feeling after that intense full moon that was aspecting Uranus, I believe, which is insane because Uranus is the planet of like shock and surprise. So the fact that I was directly aspecting the full moon, I can only imagine what pops off tomorrow because I'm filming this on Tuesday. The full moon's on Wednesday. So if some shit happened, then you know the astrology was astrologying. So, and you know what's funny? So the full moon is in Leo, right? And I was thinking about how I have a Leo Mars. And I wonder what it feels like to not have a fire Mars or a Scorpio Mars. Like if you have other Mars sign placements, like how does it go for you? Like I would imagine it's probably way, way, way more chill in a lot of ways, I would think. Because as a fire Mars, especially as a Leo Mars, I feel like it's very easy for me to get hyphy and just get hyped up and just be ready for a fight. You know what I mean? Also my Scorpio placements probably have a lot to do with it as well, but all my Scorpio placements are squaring my Leo Mars. And Leo Mars by itself already is a very intense Mars placement. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a good thing that I have found a good mindfulness practice in my life and have found ways to like simmer down and calm myself down. Because really, it used to be not that difficult to, you know, kind of bait me into a fight, actually. And I just genuinely feel like if I'm not having a good day, if I'm not feeling like myself, if everything's kind of pissing me off, my Leo Mars kind of just takes over. And I feel like if you have a fire Mars, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you have a Scorpio Mars, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like, it's almost like it's itching to be expressed, but it needs someone else to like bounce off of. Like, that's when it really hits for me, is when I'm able to go back and forth with someone in terms of like an argument or something. Like that's when it really like pops all the way off. And yes, granted, it's really good to like create when you're feeling that way, which I am doing right now. Or, you know, I like to draw. I like to read, whatever. I like to express myself in other ways, but it just hits different. And I feel like the negative aspect of Mars energy when you're feeling like you want to express it, when you're not operating at your highest vibration, is like obviously arguing with people and picking fights. Also, I just genuinely feel like maybe it's the universe testing me or what, to see how far I am in my journey. But I get put in these situations where it's usually actually, no, it's gender neutral. It's not always a guy. It's been girls too. But when guys do it, it's extra annoying, where they like try me. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? So the other day I was going somewhere where you needed like an appointment, right? And, but there's like a line for people that don't have appointments, right? And nowhere in the email or any of the paperwork did it say that when I come for my appointment, do I need a printed out version, a printed out paper proof of said appointment. You know what I mean? Nowhere did it say that. Like, come prepared, like bring this as proof of your appointment. It didn't say any of that. So I get there and I'm like, I have an appointment. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, just like cut through the line. Already I'm like, you want me to squeeze in through this line of people? Like, you don't have like a separate entrance for like people that have appointments? Like, it was just so awkward, and I could just like feel the energy already. I could just feel the energy of the people that were standing there because they're thinking I'm like cutting, right? And I'm not. I have a fucking appointment. Anyway, that is beside the point. So I get to the front and they're like, where's your proof of your appointment? I'm like, proof? Like, I have an appointment. Like, I have an appointment. Like, what do you want from me? And they're like, yeah, we need proof. I'm like, okay, like, can I just like log into the website via my phone and show you? And one of the security guards was like, yeah. And then the other one, so I'm having this conversation at the door, right? And the security guards are inside. I'm like outside the door, but we're like talking, going back and forth. And one of them is like, yeah, you can show it to me via your phone if you just log into the website. And I was like, cool. And I was like looking at the other one. I'm like, are you going to let me in, or are you going to make me stand in the middle here, blocking everyone so I can look this up? And he just like looks at me. Like he's just staring, but he has like a little like smirk on his face. Like, I'm like, are you stupid? In my head, you know what I mean? And if this comes across mean, I really don't give a fuck. I really don't. Because he was being so rude, but he was doing it in a way where, like, I could tell he was trying to get under my skin, right? Wrong move. Wrong motherfucking move, buddy. Look at my chart. I wish I could just show up and be like, do you want to test me right now? Look at this chart right here. Look at my birth chart. Are you sure you want your day to go like this by testing me right now? You know? He didn't know. He didn't know. And I'm like, are you going to let me in, or are you going to make me stand in the middle here blocking everyone? And he's just like looking at me like with a little smirk on his face. I'm like, so I just moved past him and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go in. And I go in and I'm standing next to the other guard while I'm looking it up. And the other dude, like he still didn't say anything. He was just trying to like block me off, but like was not verbalizing or communicating or saying anything. Like you could just tell he was feeling himself. Like he was feeling himself so much. And that is my issue with people in positions of power, because I say that very, very, very lightly. I think there is certain people, we don't even need to get to the cops because the cops are the worst, but like even people in lower positions of power. So I'm talking like security guards at like nightclubs, or the security guard at this place, and just people that, you know, have this little taste, have this tiny little itty bitty taste of power, and they get high off of it. And they think they can come to work and get a little ego boost, and then they go back home feeling so good about themselves, and then they're thirsty for that little bit of power again the next day. Like, that is not power. No one thinks you're powerful. No one's scared of you. Like, I need them to understand that. So I just had to like let him know right quick, like, you are not intimidating in any way, and I'm gonna squeeze on by over here. And I showed the other security guard my appointment, and you know, right when I went in, all they needed was my name and my appointment was right there, and it all worked out. But the dramatics of it really was annoying, and then that specific security guard was really, really annoying, because I just genuinely feel like he thought he was doing something. And honestly, my Leo Mars, when people think that they can try me like that, like it really, really gets under my skin. And obviously, in another universe, in another reality, Sarah smacked the shit out of him and told him to go fuck himself, disrespectfully, not respectfully. And that was that, you know? Like, that played out in my mind, like what I could have done, what I wish I could have done without going to jail. But obviously I didn't. But I'm so happy that I just like squeezed in and started talking to the other guard. Because this one, I cannot deal with people that have these big egos when there's just no reason for it. And I'm not the one. I'm really not. Like, I'm not just gonna be mute and quiet and ask for permission. Like, that is just not me. Maybe me when I was like 10, but me now, as soon as I feel like there's a problem here and you're going out of your way to like assert your dominance in any way, in any capacity, I feel like it becomes my whole life purpose to put you in your place and to tell you that you're nothing to me. You are absolutely nothing to me, and you trying to make me scared, like, is comical. Like, I am not intimidated by you at all. At all. Like, I'm a motherfucking Scorpio. Do you know the demons I deal with on the daily? Do you know how hard it is to deal with these demons on the daily? My sleep paralysis demon is scarier than you. Me and my sleep paralysis demon are like this. Like, you're nothing to me. You're nothing to me. Anyway, I just had to vent real quick because I feel like you other fire Mars signs probably get it, or other fire signs probably get it too, because I know it's a thing for fire signs, especially because I have fire sign friends where people test you guys, and then when you finally show them what you're made of, you fire signs, they get all like scared and spooked, and they're like, oh, you're so mean. Oh, you came at me so hard. It's not that deep. And if it's not that deep, then why'd you start it? And I feel like fire signs and fire sign placements, like, they really are just out here for a good time. But when people try them, and then when fire signs give that energy back, people are like, oh my God, you're so mean, or like, you're so confrontational. Like, stop. If you can't take it, don't dish it. Like, that is my main issue. If you can't take it, don't dish it. And it just extra pisses me off because I think about all these people that have these like little power trips when they're dealing with people that don't know how to stand up, you know, for themselves, when they're dealing with people that are a little bit shy or maybe a little bit insecure or scared. Like, that's what really pisses me off, because I look at the way they treat me and, you know, I know how to stand up for myself and I really will go toe to toe with anybody, anywhere, anytime, right? But when I think about them and their personality and the fact that this is probably not the first or last time that they've acted like this towards someone, that's what really gets me pissed off. Because I'm like, you genuinely are using your little position of power to intimidate people and ruin their days or their nights. Because it happens often, you guys. It happens often. I know for a fact. Every girl, damn near every girl watching has experienced security guards at like nightclubs or whatever, or bars, like for no reason, just being assholes to them. And I hate that shit. And I don't know. I just feel like one of the many, many reasons why I was put on earth is to put people in their place who really should not have any sort of power. Okay, so I saw this meme on Instagram and it was so funny. It's like this picture of Kim K and it said, before you ask why someone doesn't like you, ask yourself why you give a fuck. And can we just have a moment? Because yes, absolutely. You should always ask yourself that, actually. Because I think the first thing that comes to mind anytime we find out someone doesn't like us or is judging us, we're like, why? Why? Like, what do I need to change? You know what I mean? Like, that is like, I feel like your natural instinct as a human, especially maybe if you're not as confident or if you don't know yourself or you're not comfortable in your own skin or whatever yet. You can't help but think that like, okay, that means I have to change something about myself, right? Like if someone literally told me that they don't like me, or if it comes to me that someone doesn't like me because of this, I need to change this. I need to change myself. And now suddenly you're sitting there psychoanalyzing yourself, your behavior, who you are, to fit the mold of what they need you to be. This fucking person, this other person, they have so much power over you that now you feel like you have to literally change yourself to make them like you. When in fact, there will be someone else. I promise you there will be someone else who won't like this new version of you either. There's always going to be someone that doesn't like some part of you or all of you. And it's not your job or your purpose to keep changing yourself, fine-tuning your personality to fit the mold of what other people need you to be, you know? And actually, it's really funny that Kim K is on this meme because she's a Libra. And this reminded me, I feel like it just reminded me of Libra energy, right? I think the Libra archetype, don't get all annoyed or booty tickled, Libras, but for the most part, the Libra archetype is the people pleaser, right? Like they want to be liked by everybody and, you know, they're Venus ruled. So more than anything, they want to be accepted by everyone and they want to please everyone. They want to be pleasing to everyone and they want everyone to have good things to say about them. And that doesn't make you a bad person. You know what I mean, Libra? Like, that is just what you want and it's sweet, but it's not possible, right? So I think this message is actually really, really, really something that Libras and Libra placements need to consider. So I think it's easy to just sit there and be like, okay, well, why doesn't so-and-so like me? And I like this narrative of, you know, changing it back and being like, why? Well, why do I care? You know what I mean? Low-key, like, what's wrong with me that I care so much? I want you to bring it back to you because you know, thinking about them and putting yourself in their mind, like there's always going to be another them. Like I said, there's always going to be another person that doesn't like you, that doesn't like the way you do this, that doesn't like who you're with, that doesn't like your friends, that doesn't like your job, that doesn't respect you, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So if you're always out here fighting all of these different people, you know, and what they think of you, you're not going to have any time to do anything else in life. If you're always constantly going to be thinking about why other people don't like you or how you can change yourself to make them like you, you're not going to have time for anything because there's always going to be somebody in line to tell you why they don't like you, you know? So I like this narrative of like changing it back and asking yourself why you give a fuck. Like, why does it matter? You know, it's that simple saying of like, what other people think of you is none of your business. And it's truly none of your business because you shouldn't have time for it. Like, actually, you shouldn't have time for it. And I think that's why it's so important to completely know yourself and love yourself, all of you, the light, the dark, the good, the bad, because then you're not going to be surprised when someone doesn't like you, when someone doesn't like this one aspect of you, even if it is a part of you that you are also ashamed by, you know, or were ashamed by, at least you're not going to be shocked or surprised when you find out that is the reason they don't like you. You know what I mean? Like when you truly know yourself, all parts of yourself, and you've accepted all those parts, You're not going to be shocked or taken back, or your feelings aren't going to be hurt that badly when you find out someone doesn't like you because of your attitude. Someone doesn't like you because you're loud. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to bother you because you already know these things about yourself and you've already accepted these parts of yourself, you know? So you're not going to be hearing it for the first time through someone else's mouth. And I think when you have an insecurity and you're constantly thinking about it in your head, but you haven't fully accepted it and you're ashamed by it, when you hear someone else say that same insecurity or, you know, throw it back in your face, it hurts. It hurts so bad because you're like, oh my God, this is something that like, I kind of feel like, yeah, I am that, but I haven't fully accepted it and I don't like it and I don't know what to do. And now they see it and now you shrink yourself and now you're even more insecure. Whereas if you already know this about yourself, like for example, I can be very, very bossy, you know, working on it. I can be very, very controlling, working on it. I've gotten a lot better at it actually, but still, it's just in my nature. I can be a control freak. If someone were to tell me you're so bossy, you're so controlling, I'd be like, yeah, I am. I'm working on it. But also, it is the reason why I'm so organized and why I have this drive and why I'm so passionate, you know, about life. But I understand, yeah, I can really be bossy and I can be really controlling, but I'm working on it. So it's not really going to hurt my feelings if someone says that about me because I already know it about me, you know? So honestly, I want the same for you guys and not just Libra placements or Cancer placements, like not just you sensey babies out there. Everybody, all of you, even people who are cocky, you know what I mean? You still have things that you are insecure about, right? And I think maybe writing them down, it can be kind of triggering, you know, because you're actually finally admitting it to yourself, these things that you are insecure about. But again, when you finally write it down or when you finally acknowledge it, it holds less weight, you know? It doesn't have that much power when it comes to you and your life anymore. So then in return, it doesn't give other people that power to hold it against you, you know? I think we all have certain parts of ourselves that obviously we're hiding from the world, from other people, from people that we love, because we're scared that if they see this part of us, oh, that's really going to set them off and they're finally not going to want to be our friend or be with us or whatever, right? Like we all have certain aspects of ourselves that we're ashamed by. But then when you have these things and you haven't really come to terms with accepting it, it gives a lot of your power away because you're constantly thinking about whether this part of you will come out. You know, like you're kind of living in a shell of yourself. You're not really being authentic, right? Because yes, these are the parts of myself that I like, but these are the parts of myself that I don't like and that I'm ashamed by. So I have to be careful about these parts of myself. You're kind of showing the world or the people that you love 70% of you. And this other 30% is like clawing at the door and is just building up, festering inside of you, trying to get out, you know? And I promise you, it will get out at some point. It will get out at some point. And when it does, it'll be ugly because you weren't letting it come out naturally, you know? When you leave these parts of yourself locked away, when you finally blow up or when you crash out and they come out, it's going to be more intense and it's going to be more scary. And then you're going to feel so much shame because now you'll feel like you have to, you know, backpedal and tell people like, that's not me. Like, I don't know what happened. No, own it. Like that is you. Sometimes you're insecure. Sometimes you're jealous. Sometimes you're messy. Sometimes you're loud. Sometimes you're aggressive, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Who cares? I mean, obviously, if it's something that is really, really bad and you really want to work on it, go to therapy, figure it out. But what I'm saying is these are natural things. These are natural emotions. These are natural characteristics that we have as humans on Earth. We are not angels on Earth. We're not. Like, we're really, really not. Even the nicest person that you know, I promise you they got demons. I promise you they have insecurities. I promise you they have negative aspects of themselves. But they're just so lost. Yes, lost in life that they truly feel like they can never show any other part of themselves besides the pleasant one, besides the nice one, besides the people pleaser. And they're going to reach a point in their life where they blow up. You know, you don't want to reach that point in your 30s or 40s or 50s where you look at yourself and you're like, I have been living with a half version of me. Like literally half of me has not been expressed. Half of me has not been shown. The people I love don't even know these other parts of me, you know? And then you become, the longer you take to show it, the more you'll be in your head and you'll think if they see all parts of me, they'll abandon me. Again, giving so much power away to other people, you know, when you really could just be living for you, showing all of you, accepting all of you, and then seeing who sticks around. You know, like that is the best part of being authentic. You are truly just, you know, showing up as yourself, and the people that are still there afterwards, you know, they fuck with all of you. You know, there's no better feeling than that. Like truly, like I feel like when I am able to be with my best friends and we on that demon time, you know, we on that demon time, like we are just sitting there and we're venting and I'm telling them all of my intrusive thoughts. And they're doing the same. And then it's time to go home. We're like, oh my God, love you. This was so much fun. We're like giggling like we're angels. Like nothing just happened. Like we didn't just show each other the ugliest parts of themselves. Like that is the best part of friendship to me, is being able to really just put it all out there and know that I'm not being judged for these dark thoughts or these dark opinions or my dark sense of humor. Like that is the best part of good friendship, of solid friendships, is people seeing you, truly seeing you and loving you, all of you, accepting you, you know, that is the best feeling. And if you didn't get that from your family growing up, oh my God, it hits even more when you find your chosen family. And I'm not insinuating that my family didn't accept me. My family is actually very accepting and very loving. Again, it was always a cultural thing for me, being Middle Eastern and being a girl. I always felt like I had to be a certain way to be accepted. And, you know, my family deals with their own things too, because they grew up in that same culture. But for the most part, compared to other families, my family is very warm and accepting and loving and understanding. But again, I had so much shame surrounding who I was and how loud I was and how passionate I was and how I didn't care that there was men in the room. I wanted to be the loudest. I had these big opinions, you know. I felt like I had to be ashamed of that, you know, of my power. And it took me a while to get that power back and to understand that it's okay to take up space, you know. So I feel like the younger you are and you understand that, the younger you are and you accept all parts of you, no matter who's around, you express all of you, that is when you'll grow up to be the most confident version of yourself, because you don't pick and choose which parts of you get to come out today, you know? You just are you. You are just you, and it feels really freeing. And I think that is when you're ultimately the healthiest in every aspect of the word, you know? When you're blocking certain parts of you from being expressed, again, like I said, they are literally clawing at the doors of whatever prison you're keeping them in, you know, in your mind. They're just waiting to get out. And when they get out, they're going to be hungry and angry and volatile, because no matter what, like I said, they're getting out. The prison doors are opening. Might as well let them roam free, you know? Let them experience this life, you know? Let your negative emotions and let your insecurities and let your inner demons come out to play, because then they're not as scary, you know, when they're being expressed. Okay, so I have another book recommendation for you guys. I low-key love talking about books with you guys. I really do. I mean, I love talking about books with everyone in my life. It's the best because my boyfriend obviously doesn't read the books that I read, but he'll still ask me like, oh, like, what's your book about? Or I'll vent to him when there's a crazy ending and he's like super into it. And obviously me and Maya, like, we have a damn near book club, okay? We be reading the same books, or really I give her recommendations and she trusts me enough to read them. And so far it's like 4 for 4 in terms of series that I've recommended her and she's obsessed with. So yeah, we read the same books and we discuss it, and it's so fun. So of course I'm going to talk to you guys about my favorite books. So new book rec. Ooh, I am literally obsessed. Okay, so the first book in the series is called The Book of Azrael. And again, it is a romantasy, so a romantic fantasy. The name of the series is called the God and Monsters series. And I am just so obsessed. And honestly, I feel like the best part of this specific book is that the FMC, the female main character, is the morally gray one. And I feel like for the most part, most of the romanticities I read, the man is the morally gray one, right? And for this one, it's the woman and the main love interest, who is like a god king. He will absolutely crawl for her. You know what I mean? He will back up all of her violence and vengeance. And that is just beautiful. Like, I love a man who is absolutely obsessed with his woman, duh. But the fact that she is the morally gray one and she is on this path of revenge for everyone that has fucked with her and her family, and he is supporting her fully, it just hits different. And also what I really do love about this book is that there's so much diversity. Like, there's a lot of brown and black characters, which I genuinely love, and I feel like there aren't enough romanticities that have this much diversity, in my opinion. And yeah, no, I just really love the book. I'm going to post the series here. The 4th book in the series is dropping, I believe, this May. And I am on the 3rd book, at the beginning of the 3rd book. And it has kept me up at night. Like, this entire series, it's so interesting to read. I'm not bored ever. You know what I mean? And the twists and turns, I'm into it. And it's the kind of book where, even besides the morally gray FMC, you're kind of weirdly rooting for the villains, in the sense that you are getting to understand their minds and behaviors and why they are the way they are. And you know I love a good underdog. You know I love a good origin villain story. And this book has all of that. It's all of that. It has enemies to lovers. It has chosen family. It's just really freaking good. And it's dark, and I love the world building aspect of it. So if you need a new romantasy series, this is the one. God and Monsters series. First one is the Book of Azrael. And if you read ACOTAR, if you read Fourth Wing, and you're looking for something that is just as captivating, something that is just really, really going to grab your attention, and you're going to be into it from the beginning, I recommend this series, and I hope you guys love it. And again, if you guys ever read any of the books that I recommend to you, please comment it below. Please send me a DM on Instagram. Like, I need to know. I need to know these things because it makes my heart happy. Like, it really, really does. And I want to talk to you about it. Like, I want to talk to you about it, even if you hated it. Even if you hated it. I don't know why I said that. I don't know if I want to know if you hated it, because it would hurt my feelings. But you know what? No, this is a safe space. If you hated it, you tell me why you hated it, you know, and I will create that safe space for you. Okay, I want to talk about, so if you guys watched my last concept video, it was about the signs with the most powerful intuition, right? And one of you guys, whom I love, sent me this meme on Instagram about Pisces intuition. And honestly, I feel like we don't talk about Pisces intuition enough and just how strong it is. Like, I think a lot of times, obviously the flighty nature of Pisces and their inability to stay grounded is talked about, but we need to talk more about what they are learning in that fantasy realm, in the subconscious, in their dream state, what they are learning, because I promise you the shit that they're taking in is way, way, way ahead of the curve. I promise you. If Pisces tells you not to trust someone, or if Pisces tells you this person's weird, trust and believe them. It has actually happened to me, and I'm a Scorpio, so I know I have amazing intuition. But when my Pisces man or my Pisces friends tell me something and I don't peep it, I still trust them, which is crazy because I usually peep it. So if I don't peep it and they do, I'm like, you know what? You are absolutely correct. Do not question a Pisces ever. And I think they get a bad rep, again, because they're not always the most logical when it comes to shit. But when it comes to intuition, it is literally the opposite of logic. Like, you have no facts when it comes to your intuition. So when a Pisces placement is telling you something, and yeah, sure, there are no facts behind it, trust them. Trust that intuition. Because when you are ruled by the 12th house of the subconscious and of, the dream world of fantasy, they know what they're talking about. And not everything that, we see is real anyway, right? So maybe some of the things that we don't see are very much real. It's two sides of the same coin. And I personally hope that my spirit guides, wherever they are, whoever they are, I hope one of them is a Pisces, because listen, the downloads that these Pisceans get, it's powerful. Okay, so you know how we were just talking about authenticity, right? Like the importance of authenticity and how free you feel when you're authentic, and how I personally believe you're at your healthiest the more authentic you are. It's really, really funny because, it's not funny. It's really, really interesting because I saw this chart, and it's a chart of vibrational frequencies. And I'll post it right here, and it shows you like the highest forms of frequencies and the emotions that you feel, right, at the highest ones, and then obviously the lowest ones too. It's really, really, really interesting. And at the top, we have like reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment, right? And like enlightenment is like the ultimate consciousness. That is when you are at, your highest vibration, right? And at the bottom, you have like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, which just makes so much sense that those are obviously the lowest vibrations you can feel. Shame is the worst. I say this always on this channel, you guys. Shame is the absolute, absolute worst feeling you can have. You cannot change things that have happened to you. Trust me, I say this as someone that has gone through traumatic events, and you have to work through your shame. You have to. If it's one thing you do, if it's one thing that you go to therapy for, if it's one thing that you do shadow work for, you have to work through your shame, because as you can see literally from this chart, it is the lowest form of frequency, and you need to release it. You need to release it so you're able to thrive in life. Like, shame is so useless. Anyway, going back to the highest forms of frequency, right? So the topmost one is enlightenment, right? And what exactly is enlightenment? Alignment truly is authenticity, right? And I was listening to this guy named Luke Belmar, and he was talking about this study, and he was talking about this chart, this frequency chart. And they literally did a study that took about 20 years, he said, and they put people in a Faraday cage, whatever that is, and they prompted them with various things that triggered vibrational frequencies, right, in their body. And after they did these different prompts to trigger different frequencies, they realized that the highest form of vibrational frequency is being authenticity. Isn't that crazy? And I honestly think it makes so much sense, because when you are fully authentic, when you are exactly who you are meant to be, without shame, without guilt, without outside forces telling you or manipulating you to be like them, that is when you are the happiest, right? That is when your vibration is at its highest. And I think that is literally why it's so important to ask yourself where your beliefs come from, where your goals come from. Because when we take it on from other people, we are becoming less authentic, right? When we are changing our opinions, as we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, when we are changing who we are to fit the bill or to become what other people need us to be, that is when we are stepping away from ourselves. That is when we are getting further and further away from who we are, further and further away from being authentic, right? And like I said, from the chart, the highest form of frequency is authenticity, right? So when you are people pleasing, when you are living life and having goals based on what other people want from you, you are operating at a lower vibration, literally at a lower vibration. This literal study proves that. And it's just crazy, because how many people do you know in their 30s or 40s or 50s that have a midlife crisis or a crisis, and they just hate their life? And they regret their career choices. They regret who they married. They regret shit. They regret where they chose to live. They feel numb, or, they start disassociating, or they're angry. And it's because they realize they have been living inauthentically. You know what I mean? They realize that they haven't been true to themselves. And I think at a certain point, sure, you can live inauthentically and just do things based on what you think you should do. You can fake it for a bit, but once it really hits that you are so unhappy, I feel like that is the scariest place to be, because you are so far away from yourself and you have been operating at this low vibration for so long that it feels like you're now a baby. You're an adult, but you're a baby and you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's a scary, scary place to be. And also, I think that's where a lot of regret comes from, because you feel like you've wasted so much of your time and of your life living and making choices based off of what people want you to do, and usually comes from family or your friend group or whatever it may be. You just assuming that, me doing this, me living like this is what's going to make everyone happy, and it's what's going to make the most people like me. I think a lot of people make decisions based off of, if I make this choice, how many people will still like me? If I make this choice, how many people will still like me? And they're going with the choice that is going to have the most amount of people like them, if that makes sense. Because again, it comes back to, I feel like as humans, naturally, we do want to be liked and accepted by people. But I think the more you want to please people, the further away you get from yourself, and the more you are inauthentic. You know what I mean? So when you decide to live authentically, you will feel lighter, because now you are carrying the beliefs that were actually yours to begin with, instead of carrying the weight of every other person's belief. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? Because I feel like when we come into this world, there is a frequency that we're coming here with, right? Like your soul, who you are at your core. Who you are when you're being authentic. And when you are leading a life with that energy, with the energy that you were meant to be with the energy that you came here with, when you're living life with that frequency and with that energy, you feel lighter, because it's your natural state. Like, that is who you are to your core. Whereas when you have taken on the energy of other people and their beliefs and you are inauthentic, you feel heavier. Because that is not what you came here with. You know what I mean? You're now carrying the burden and the energy and the choices and the goals of other people. Like, that has no business being in your life. That has no business attaching itself to your soul. And, that is when you start feeling guilty and shame and anger and sadness, because you're not you anymore. You're not who you were meant to be on this planet. And I think, I know for me, I personally believe that we all know what our purpose is. Internally, we all know what our purpose is. And this life is all about getting to that purpose, right? And I think the more you live authentically, the faster and easier it is for you to find that purpose, because you're not there's no pressure going against you, right? Because you're just flowing through life. Whereas, when you are doing things based off of societal standards or based off of what people expect you to do, you're heavier, you're literally heavier. Your chakras are blocked, and it's hard to figure out what your purpose is. It's hard to figure out why you're here. And I think that easily leads you to be angry and sad and confused. I think confusion is also a main thing. You are very much confused, and you are looking for signs everywhere, and you are comparing yourself to everyone, because more than anything, you want to figure out how to be happy. You're just like, how can I be happy? Like, that person's happy. Do I need to do that? Well, that person's happy. Do I need to do that? Like, stop looking at other people when you're trying to figure out how to make yourself happy. You need to go inwards and figure out what it is that you need to be happy again, to feel like yourself again. There's nothing wrong with having people that you look up to, you know what I mean? Or getting advice from people, but ultimately nobody knows what you need more than you. And in order for you to do that, you need to live authentically and be okay with making enemies. I mean, it doesn't have to be enemies, but, hurting people's feelings or not making everyone happy. You have to be okay with that, because that is the price of living authentically. And this actually reminds me of another meme I saw on Instagram that said, anything you lose by speaking your truth isn't a loss. It's an alignment. And what is alignment? It's living authentically. When you are fully aligned with your purpose and your goal and who you're meant to be, you're the happiest. You're the happiest because that is what you were meant to do on this planet. So you are literally on that path. You are literally doing what your soul was calling you to do when you came on this planet, So anytime you share your truth or you feel something and you say it with your chest, but people aren't happy with it, or you choose to go on a path or a journey that feels right, but now some people don't agree with it, or they don't want to, fully accept this part of you. Let them go. Let them drop. You know what I mean? Lose them. Yes, mourn them, mourn the loss of those friends, or sadly sometimes family members, if they don't, accept this part of you when you start living authentically. But trust me, it's not a loss, because if anything, you are actually getting closer to your purpose. You are getting closer to, the highest version of you, because you're letting these people and these distractions get out of the way. And now you can finally see who you are meant to be. You can finally see the version of you that is going to be the happiest on this planet. And the only way for you to do that is to be okay with people that don't agree with you, with people that don't like you. You know what I mean? And it is probably one of the hardest things that we can learn on this planet, in this life, is learning to be okay with people that don't like us. I think all of us are very, very sensitive, and I think there are certain careers and there are certain people that, become numb to it, and they're just really good at it, right? And I think to be in the public eye, you have to be good at it, because everyone is constantly judging you, and you're put on a platform where more people have a chance to know you, therefore more people have a chance to judge you, right? So you're almost forced into it, to being okay with people that don't like you. And obviously some people, it's not possible. People in the public eye, it's not possible for them to ever be okay with it. Think about all the people, you guys, that have dealt with mental health struggles, or all the people that have, offed themselves because they couldn't handle the fame, or they couldn't handle all of that, right? So it is sad, because not everyone can handle that, and not everyone can handle criticism like that. But even if you are obviously not in the public eye, if anyone ever, of any age, I encourage you to learn to be okay with people not liking you, because when you do, that is when you can make a lot of decisions based off of who you are and how you want to show up in the world. When you are constantly worried about whether this decision is going to have people be mad at you, you're living inauthentically. So stop making decisions based off of whether it's going to make other people happy, and start making decisions based off of whether it's going to make you happy. That is when you can be in alignment with who you are. And this guy actually had tweeted, his name is Jared Matthew Ways. I'll post it here. He said, "We don't ever find ourselves. We just stop being other people." And this perfectly ties into this whole conversation, You have not lost yourself. You may have gotten further away from yourself, but you are always there. Who you are at your core is always there. It's just that in this world, it's really easy to take on other people's needs and wants and values, because we feel like that is how we connect with people. We feel like that is the easiest way to be accepted by people. But actually, I promise you, the people that you want in your life are the people that accept you no matter how you act. Again, I'm not talking about yes men around you. You don't want people that like you only when you agree with them. You want people around you that are intrigued and interested and love all the different versions of you, right? And that will not be intimidated or judge you when you are growing and changing and evolving, because hopefully you are also that same kind of person. When you see different parts of your friends or partner come out, if anything, you're more intrigued to learn more about it instead of judging them for it, All right, you guys, that is the end of this podcast episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed this yap therapy, because I really did. This one felt really healing. And, even I want to live more authentically. And even when it comes to this channel and expressing myself, there are definitely times where I feel like I can't say certain things, or I say it and I edited it out, or I feel like maybe I'm doing too much, or maybe I'm not doing enough, or I'm just in my head about what I'm saying and whether people will agree with it. And I try to actively tell myself to stop doing that and to just say it with my chest. And I will continue to try and do that, because again, I want to live authentically. I want to share my message. And even if it hits for one person, it does. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, I'm not going to make everyone happy. And yeah, I just want to let you guys know that is still something that even I deal with. So I love you guys. I hope you're having a beautiful day. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, leave me a review. If you're watching, leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.